Gurave Gaurachandrai Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah. Rasa, a few more words of blessing to inaugurate today's meeting, please.
May our hearts be present in this moment as we gather together. Catching a glimpse of the treasure that we have been entered into, what we have to offer, what we have to receive. And to be able to push up against what is into the ever unfolding of what we can be, individually, collectively. Let us nourish each other as we come together around the common center and fulfill our purpose of developing love, being love.
Thank you. So, welcome, all of you, and greetings from New Zealand. As you know, today we have our usual weekly satsang, getting together around truth. But today is not our usual satsang in one sense, but there's the meeting is taking a unique shape today, the shape of a 1-year-old birthday party. So happy birthday to all of you, as all of you are part of that 1-year-old baby crawling and shouting Tadatmya, shouting empathy and connection and oneness and love. So as you know, from 1 year from now, I happen to be in New Zealand in this exact same place I'm now, in a different building, a new one, but similar, round one. So 1 year ago, we had the Namakarana Samskar, or the name-giving ceremony of Tadatmya Devotional Alliance, and so much happened before that, and during that, and after that, throughout this whole last year. So today I felt the inspiration to travel with you, so to say, a little bit, not only to the past, to what has happened throughout this last year, but also to the present, and from there to the future of this Sangha, which we are building together, heart by heart, brick by brick, day by day, tier by tier, and so on and so forth. So I'll share a few words, and after this, I'd like to invite whomever feels inspired to share with us a few words about their own experience with Tadatmya, in Tadatmya, through Tadatmya. Of course, first of all, I must say that as I reflect on our journey, and we were a year ago, and where we are today, where I am today, but where we are today, I'm really humbled and moved by the beauty and by the depth and by the miracle, basically, of what has been co-created by each of us. This journey has been as much as yours as it has been mine. It's a teamwork, co-creation. And for me today, it's basically that. It's a celebration of our shared efforts, our shared pouring our hearts, our shared sincerity and vulnerability, and being there for one another, our shared aspirations and needs, and how all that can be shared, basically. And the very fact that all of that is a shared thing is worthy of celebration for me. So, as you may recall, just a brief recap, but Tadatmya Sangha somehow originally manifested, if we want to go speak in terms of architecture, there were some pillars to the construction project. So manifested and was based on the 7 pillars that at that time were not called any at all pillars, but the 7 chapters of the book of Radical Personalism, which then became the 7 pillars of the Tadatmya Sangha. Recently, in a meeting in Spanish, I was invited to elaborate on each of them, which we did last year in the first gathering. Briefly, I mentioned them just to recall them: vulnerability and empowerment, individuation, non-dual thinking, healthy human approach to the relationship between guru and disciple, divine ignorance, or the healthy coexistence with paradox and uncertainty and doubt and so on, contemplative prayer, and what we call in the book unearthing heaven, or how to discover the spiritual world, the divine, the sacred, right here, right now, in the immediate realm of matter. And so I won't go into the details of each one of those. That requires separate presentation. But this became the 7 pillars somehow of Tadatmya. And of course, these pillars were mentioned in the book in Radical Personalism. Before that, they were mentioned in the series of lectures about Radical Personalism, which in itself, those series came as a result of a very unexpected, let's call it holy shift, as I call it in my book, in my life, which basically turned my whole existence upside down, and that of many other people close to my heart, and basically invited me to die 1,000 deaths in a few days, in a few months, with its corresponding 1,000 rebirths, fortunately. And as painful and as bewildering as all that indeed was, it was beautiful. Looking back, it was necessary. It was a very required fire, welcome fire, of ordeal for all of us to be where we are today, basically, not only me. So that's something, where we are today is something worthy of celebration, despite all its messiness and other similar elements. So that's where we are celebrating today, basically, celebrating today where we are today. So Tadatmya was officially inaugurated 1 year ago. We gave a name again. It was a name-giving ceremony, giving a name to something. We gave a name to something that, of course, was already taking place. It was already blossoming, unfolding very beautifully, very naturally. So for me, it was a very natural step just to take in that direction and name something to give that a particular shape, a particular identity and existence. And it was clear that probably a need to create a group identity was present for those who were already tuning in with Radical Personalism, and the particular approach to Gaudiya Vaishnavism that Radical Personalism proposed. So for me, Tadatmya manifested as a very natural blossom of Radical Personalism, let's put it that way, and as an attempt to increase the quality of our belonging. There was already some quality of belonging taking place, but the name giving, that further shaping of the Sangha, I think it allowed and helped facilitated a further belonging, another step into belonging, which was already taking place and continues to take place today in ever new, ever fresh, ever evolving ways. So also, as I like to remind, not so much to yourself, but also to myself, is Tadatmya is not an organization with me at the top of the pyramid. It's not a mission in the usual way we used to think or conceive of Gaudiya groups. It's not an institution either. It's as abstract as it may sound. Tadatmya is in my opinion, it's an ongoing conversation. That's for me. It's a passionate exploration, Q&E, right? Quest and exploration. So it's a passionate exploration between like-minded spirits, like-hearted, as Bhaktirasa likes to say, like-hearted spirits, which are committed to a similar journey, similar inner journey beyond relative considerations, and with deep empathy, with the willingness, hopefully, to enter into the story of one another, starting with the story of the sweet absolute, his, her, their love story. So that's the meaning of Tadatmya, oneness in love, the willingness to enter into that. There are many Sanskrit terms similar to that, Vishramba, Pranay, interestingly, which happens to be part of my name as well, Bhakti Pranay Padmanabha, and Tadatmya, oneness of hearts, oneness of purpose. Mahaprabhu himself being the ultimate form of Tadatmya. Remember last year we explored different meanings, layers of meaning for Tadatmya. So oneness, an alliance, that's what we call it also, devotional alliance. An alliance, another way of saying Tadatmya. Teamwork, a co-creation of like-minded spirits, or a school of love, if you put, a Sangha, a family. You name it, as you feel it, that's fine. As long as the feeling, the heart is in the right place and the proper conception of Tadatmya remains in place in the heart. So since that moment 1 year ago of the name giving ceremony, and even before that, I will say, we've tried to inaugurate, let's put it that way, a safe space for ourselves, to give ourselves permission to have or to continue having deep, meaningful conversations that many times didn't happen before, whether in our lives, in our community, creating some sacred, safe space to be vulnerable, basically, to be naked, to be vulnerable, and to talk about what we may need to talk about at any given moment in a circle of trust and confidence between brothers and sisters, something that may feel genuine, like genuine family, genuine belonging. So I like to think of Tadatmya Sangha as a trans-institutional commitment. Our commitment is not tied or limited to an institutional affiliation. It's another type of commitment between, again, like-minded, like-hearted souls from different affiliations. Many of you have different institutional affiliations, connection with many gurus and sadhus. But here we are talking about belonging to one another, and get together to satisfy common needs, not only on a personal level of the wider Gaudiya Vaishnava community, but also even beyond the Gaudiya community. We don't want just to limit community, common unity, to those who profess only the unique flavor of our own tradition, so to say. As I was these days sharing with Father Cashin, who is a Christian monk that was visiting us here, and after sharing with him many days and giving lectures and sharing personally together, at one point I have been feeling quite uncomfortable for some time already by using the expression other traditions, because the word other creates a sense of otherness when there is so much common sharing. So I came to the feeling of using the expression sister traditions. And I remember telling him that, and he told me, oh, many people will disagree with that. And I said, yes, I'm sure. But I really agree with that. So that's the most important thing for me. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, there's only one family. So for me, Tadatmya Sangha, though it's in one sense connected and mostly centered in the Gaudiya Vaishnav perspective of reality, it's not limited to that either. So very happy to be part of it. Some of you may dare to call me the founder of the Tadatmya Sangha. And as I say, I remember 1 year ago, even if I happen to be the founder of Tadatmya, I like to think of the word founder to make a play of words. I can only make in English, so I have to figure out what may I say tomorrow in my Spanish presentation. But I'm a founder in the sense that I have found, not founded, I have found. I have been found by Bhagavan, by the Sweet Absolute, by His grace. I've been found by grace, by mercy. And I have found you, all of you, who are making Tadatmya what it is, what continues to be. So in that sense, I'm a founder. No, I have found so many treasures and gifts. So yeah, I'm a founder of sorts. And of course, I am a member of Tadatmya, but each of you is an equal contributing member of it. If you feel that particular call, of course, without the need of signing any paper or being initiated by this or that guru. Again, we can only belong to people, to hearts. We can never belong to institutions. We can only fit in that case. So if you feel you belong to Tadatmya, then that's your membership card. Your heart's confirmation is your affiliation, your membership card. You are a pilgrim, a welcome pilgrim of the journey. That's the imagery I like to have sometimes. Instead of tourist, instead of being a spiritual tourist, we want to be pilgrims. And in that sense, Tadatmya also can be conceived as a yatra. Yatra in Sanskrit means journey, or more specifically, pilgrimage. So we are all pilgrims sharing a unique and shared journey at the same time, right? So in itself, Tadatmya is a journey. Tadatmya is a pilgrimage of hearts. And again, its members are not merely members. They are holy pilgrims. And we are to honor each other in that way. We are to treat each other with that level of respect and appreciation and gratitude. The one that we will show to any sincere, committed pilgrim. So that's for me what it constitutes, as I like to say, a whole new level of affiliation. How to conceive my affiliation to a spiritual group, not so much in terms, again, of papers and cards, but committed pilgrimhood, let's put it that way. So anyhow, we are celebrating today. I hope some of you prepared the cake. We are celebrating today this 1-year-old baby called Tadatmya, still is learning to crawl, to have his her their first steps and shouting his first words, which is as messy as it is charming, and we are all amused at witnessing how that process, miraculous process, is unfolding and taking place, right? So and just like a baby, right, who is learning to walk, I will say Tadatmya grows like a baby is growing with the sharing, the nourishing from the mother and the environment. In the same way, this entity that we may dare to call Tadatmya, grows through our shared nourishing, our shared participation. Not to create any type of forced sense of pressure or responsibility, but just that's how things grow, right? By nourishing, shared nourishing. So each step, like a baby, each step, each stumble, each quote unquote failure becomes a milestone in the whole process of growing in the sacred timeline. It's a reflection of the collective care and the collective commitment that each of us have. So looking back to what happened this last year, wow, so much happened on this last year. I took these days, I was spending some time in my inner being, trying to recall what happened during this last year, from birth to year one, and so much happened. Not only externally, no? We don't want just to be concerned with external stuff going on the outside. So much happened internally. For a moment, try to think yourself as much as you can where each of us were internally 1 year ago, and where are we now as a result of all that we have gone through together in Tadatmya Sangha. Spend a few moments trying to see yourself back and see yourself now. Do that journey for a minute, and hopefully there's we are discovering now way more reasons to celebrate. So I'd like to make a brief, as I told you, I'd like to make a brief journey into some of it, into some of what we've gone through this year. Not only highlighting, of course, what has been done externally in terms of activities that Tadatmya Sangha was able to offer, but always knowing that each of those activities created, or at least had the intention to create, a corresponding inner impact, and transformation, education, healing, connection, bonding, and so on. Like also as a way to appreciate what we have been able to offer so far, to value the investment of time and energy, the effort, the sacrifice made by many of its contributing members, and to celebrate the fortune of being together. So some of the things that we've been able to offer in our Tadatmya Sangha, with, I will say, I wouldn't say infallible, but almost infallible how to say, infallible capabilities to offer without missing, was our weekly, I failed a few times, so I acknowledge that, our weekly satsang on the weekends. It began to be known as Stagosti and satsang, Q&A, quest and exploration, again, you name it. So both in English and in Spanish. So that has been a very important space, and I've received lots of feedback, especially recently and throughout the year, about the importance of those meetings, which are not just merely Q&A, satsang, but it's a way of our weekly family gathering, so to say, at the same time. Meeting each other together, sharing. The breakout rooms have been an important addition to the dynamic of the sharing, and it's an important way to affirm our connection, our participation, and develop the relationship with one another. So I'm very happy for those gatherings, and of course looking forward to continue them. Also, we have been offering every 2 weeks, not weekly in this case, but every 2 weeks we have been having our Tadatmya Live, which then morphed into Tat Talks, toward authentic dialogue, Tat, now with the new 2 co-hosts, Bhakti Rasa and Yugal Kishore. So inviting different guests from other, many times Vaishnava affiliations or groups or members of our more intimate family, and sharing very interesting topics and conversations, and expanding the bonding trans-institutionally, and creating bi-weekly spaces of deep reflection and introspection. So we look forward to continue with that as well. Also, every 2 weeks, the Tadatmya Sangha has been offering already for a few years the Free Radical podcast, which this last year we have had, I counted 20 episodes every 2 weeks again, including Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Swamis, Gurus, members of other Vaishnava Sampradayas, members of other sister traditions, different rabbis and different Christian authors and mystics. So many people I've met, and you've met this year probably, and also that's something that rejoices me. I get to meet someone who's so interesting, and my first thought is like, oh, I would like everyone to know this person. So for me, the Free Radical podcast is the perfect excuse to extend to other people what I personally consider as sadhu sangha for me, as nourishing association, and okay, let's let this beautiful personality contact other hearts. So it has been it's a pleasure for me to do that service. Again, so many people to know, so many new people, and so many known people that we can continue to know as our relationship developed. What else? Tadatmya Sangha also has been offered on a monthly basis a newsletter. And here's a big shout out to Bhakti Rasa, which is behind that service, and that takes time. So round of applause. Thank you so much, Bhakti Rasa, for compiling. And again, that's another way of keeping the Sangha and the family aligned, in tune together, with feeling this shared sense of purpose and pulse, and sharing different news and activities. And of course, if you are not subscribed, you would like to subscribe, you can contact us and we will add you there as well. What else we have been trying to offer? Well, different lectures throughout the year, mostly with me in this case, traveling like mad. Not so much like mad, but traveling quite a lot. And hopefully sharing some conversations and topics which could prove meaningful to others, to me. And in this connection, also, I like to highlight one of the highlights of the year for me, and I think for those who have been there as well, has been the Radical Personalism retreat we had in the UK a few months ago. That was special. I think everyone who was there will say that, will agree with me. For me, this not only deepened our understanding of radical personalism and the 7 pillars that we elaborated upon each day, but also became like a, how to say in English, watershed, like a watershed moment, like setting the tone for the intimacy and for the learning that followed in our Sangha, or that was already present in our Sangha, and also set the tone for other future retreats that we will have this year. I will tell you in a minute about that. And what else? We have been having, this goes on a more, not clandestine, but more private platform, which is we have, Tadatmya Sangha has been offered for some time already, what we call sisterhoods and brotherhoods, which are more private online gatherings where members of our Sangha have their own, Vaishnavis have their sisterhoods and Vaishnavas have their brotherhoods, and we can offer complementary, it's a complementary to the support to the above, to all the things that we try to offer. Instead of more public activities, is a more private setting, trying to create some safe space, smaller space, so we can share vulnerably with one another. We can accompany each other in our ups and downs and the day-to-day journey, which of course I think is one of the most important jewels in the crown, so to say, of Tadatmya. So I'm very grateful for each one of you who have been participating in that and helping for that to happen. So anyhow, as you can see, so much happened. I'm being brief just about each one of these things. So much happened, and again, not only on the outside, right? Because for each one of these external events, there's an internal happening taking place. I can imagine, and I can even remember now, and probably you can remember with me, but how each of you or many of you will write to me throughout the year, like expressing how, I don't know, how touched you were by this or that podcast and inspired by this new guest, these people you never heard about, discovering this new jewel, or commenting online how you were inspired or by such and such talk and topic, or how transforming was the UK retreat for you, whatever, how much more enriched your life is by having new friendships, new sisters, new brothers, so much, such a lavish generosity we are being bestowed upon by Krishna's grace in our Tadatmya Sangha. So lots of reasons to be extremely grateful. Gratitude is a virtue we should never forget. We very often forget sometimes, and many times we go to many unnecessary places in our minds, in our inner self. And many times we can be rescued by them very quickly if we were able to invoke a proper sense of gratitude and be reminded and to appreciate how many genuine reasons we have to celebrate life. So that said, as we are stepping into our second year, starting from today, let's put it that way, still the horizon for me is filled with opportunities. It's brimming, exciting opportunities to deepen our growth and conversations and connection, and expanding our inner reach, and still continue to refine the offering, right? To continue to refine the love and the vulnerability that in one way, in many ways, define Tadatmya Sangha. So for me, every retreat, every satsang, every online gathering and conversation we plan for 2025 is just for me another step into this collective pilgrimage. So what about 2025? So what about year 2 of Tadatmya Sangha? So as you may imagine, we intend to keep and sustain what we have begun, all the activities I've mentioned, which is always the biggest challenge, right? to sustain something. No, we are Vaishnavas, as I like to say. No? Vaishnavas are connected to Vishnu, and Vishnu is the maintainer. He's the god of sustainability. So our deity, wow, sorry for the zebra-like image, but the sun is just, I'm trying to close as much as I can, but that's as much as I can do. So Vishnu is the god of sustainability, right? So as Vaishnavas, we have to be very expert in sustaining what has been already begun. No? It's relatively complex to start something. It's a little bit easier to destroy what you have begun. But the most challenging thing is to sustain what has begun. And you can only sustain something if it's growing, right? You cannot keep something in this exact same place and call that sustainability. You know, think of any relationship you have. How to keep a relationship functioning, to sustain it. It has to grow. If it remains in the same place, that's another way of calling it destruction of the relationship. So the biggest challenge for this year and for every year, I will say, is to sustain something. And sustain means, again, to keep growing. So instead, for me, of becoming obsessed with the idea of more external expansion and more activities and more numbers and more outreach, which I'm not against that if that happens organically, but that shouldn't, for me, it's not my obsession or my concern. I will say part of what defines Tadatmya also is we prefer to keep the quality growing, the quality of belonging, the quality of communication, of relationship. So the connections we are cultivating, because it's an ongoing work, have these connections have their necessary time and their necessary space. So that takes time, takes life, takes energy. Instead of becoming like suffocating, overwhelmed by an overdose of proposals and activities and concerns with expansion at the cost of inner growth and expansion. So I want to clarify that. So hopefully none of you have that expectation of 10 times more activities and stuff going on, because that will be too difficult to sustain. So with this, I'm saying that, of course, we intend that all of the above offerings that have marked the first year of Tadatmya continue in its second, still baby year, right? So we plan to continue with our weekly satsangs in both English and Spanish. We plan to continue with our bi-weekly TAD Talks. We plan to continue with our bi-weekly episodes of the Free Radical podcast. We plan to continue with our monthly Tadatmya newsletter. What else do we plan to continue with? I plan to continue traveling, as I've been doing this year. So I will share in these days the whole 2025 schedule and trying to visiting you all around and beg for your association and mercy. So we of course plan to share whatever lectures we may do in those travels. We plan to continue doing a few retreats, not only the UK retreat, but a few other retreats throughout the year. I will mention in a few moments about that. And we plan to continue our online weekly sisterhoods and brotherhoods. So that in itself, again, demands time and energy and life. And we are very happy to invest our time and energy in that such meaningful direction. Also, that said, of course, maintaining implies growing. And part of that growing is that something new always can come from that on some level that is sustainable. Again, we want to remain being Vaishnavas. We want to remain sustainable. So something extra, some extra unpacking from what happened last year also has happened. So there are a few extra features, so to say, that we are looking forward in this 2025. So I'd like to mention that briefly, sharing that with you. One of those is we will have again our UK retreat, which somehow has become some type of yearly ritual that cannot be missing. So this year it will be during October, between 3 and the 13, although some of us may stay a few more days till the 16 or something, just in case if you happen to be nearby. But also apart from our yearly UK retreat, we also have 2 more Tadatmya yearly retreats, as to facilitate, depending where you live in the globe, your participation of at least one of them. hopefully. So to gather in 3D, which of course is never the same as gathering online, to be honest. So everyone had a chance to at least, again, hopefully participate in one of them and continue to foster our shared bond in 3D. So the second big retreat will be in May in North Carolina in Ananda Ashram. So we'll be gathering there from May 11 to 17. And the third big retreat will be in India. We will be doing, last year we attempted, but eventually it was not possible. So this year we'll be doing our first Tadatmya Sangha Dham Parikram, or pilgrimage to, in this case, the Holy Land of Navadvip Dham, which is a great place to begin. I'm thinking probably the coming years we can go, of course, to other sacred places like Puri, Vrindavan, etc. But what better place to begin than in the sacred land of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and start through Gaur Lila, which gives access to everything else. So this will take place in November, between November 14 and 27th. So it will be almost 2 weeks. And again, this very soon we will share some news, but if someone is interested, you can contact us. So the idea is in this way, we'll have these 3 big retreats throughout the year. Hopefully we may be able to sustain that throughout the next years. One in the US, one in Europe, one in India. So it's somehow accessible to most of you, and we can continue working and growing together. I'll be publishing the date soon again. And since I mentioned the word publishing, one last thing, and one last news in terms of publishing, there is also book publishing going on in Tadatmya Sangha. So I hope to have my third book, which, as you may know, will be on the topic of evolution in divine love, the ever-evolving nature of love, God. Probably the title will be Evolution in Divine Love, the Eternal Becoming of God, Soul, and Matter. Yesterday I shared with you the news that I was thinking, I got a few endorsements from different members of the Gaudiya community and other traditions, very beautiful words of appreciation for the work. But I never wrote to Father Richard Rohr because I thought, oh, he's so busy, he's getting older, he may be too much for him to write something. So I never even considered writing to him. But yesterday I just thought, I really would like to have him also in the list of endorsers. So I just wrote to him yesterday, and he just replied to me a few minutes after, very generously agreeing to write something. So he will be also part of the book in a very beautiful way, for sure. So anyhow, I hope this book will be published at some point this year. We in this time are shooting to another publishing house, so that may delay the process a little bit, but hopefully at some point this year that will be published. I don't have the dates yet, but I will let you know. And also I plan to finish the writing of what will be the fourth book, which I started writing last year in the solitary writing retreat in Switzerland, which will be on the topic of unconditional love. I'm tempted to call it irreversible grace, right? So, and yes, after that, the series on Gaur Lila, Mahaprabhu, and Gadadhar Pandit is waiting after that for those who lovingly remind me about that very often. So basically that. And of course, apart from all of that, from all of the above that we have shared so far, we look forward to attend the specific necessities of each individual in the Sangha as much as it's possible to do that. And it is for this, as some of you know, that we have sent recently a questionnaire, I think you call it questionnaire, to those of you who have been closely involved in our Tadatmya Sangha, asking you for feedback, basically, on your experience with Tadatmya. I think that's a very important part of you being part, not of making you feel part of it, but of just acknowledging that you are part of it, right? So asking you what you appreciate the most, or what you may be feeling that is lacking in the Sangha or in your experience, or how connected you feel with the Sangha, or in which specific ways you feel connected, what you are looking forward in this coming year, and many other related inquiries to remain as radically personal as we can, and to really sincerely care and invite you to bring your voice and trying to integrate that. But of course, your voice, just to make it clear, your voice, each one of you, your voice not only matters, but shapes what Tadatmya is and what Tadatmya continues to be. So thank you for each one of you. I've gone through each one of your replies during these days, and we will try to serve your needs as much as we can, while of course hoping that you will understand that it's not always possible to do everything. and as you may imagine, also for what for many people is a necessity, for other people is not, right? So it's interesting also to appreciate the uniqueness of everyone's journey, but also to commit ourselves to accompany each one in our journey. So please bear with us as we try to accomplish that, and we bear with one another, right? With each other in our attempt to accompany each of us in the journey, in this new chapter of the journey. What else before concluding and passing the mic to each one of you? Apart from what we expect to have happening on this second year of Tadatmya, on a more long-term journey, not for 2025 and probably not for even 2026 or whatever. Let's see. It's not in our hands. There's no master plan here. But there are, of course, some other plans. I wouldn't even like to use the word plan, but projects or desires. Of course, also there's the desire to have some form of yearly journal with various authors from our circle, our friendly circle, writing about maybe one same subject and publishing that as a yearly Tadatmya journal. Let's see when that happens. And also, of course, as I share with some of you, there is some desire at some point to establish some community also somewhere in the on planet Earth, or maybe we may need to go somewhere else, depending how things go these years in political terms around the world. But to have some community for those who would like to live together also, or in the nearby area. No, of course, this vision lies further ahead, but I imagine a place where we could live and grow and serve together, and surely may help to remain anchored in the bigger picture of what Tadatmya continues to be or could become on one particular day, like a living embodiment of ideals and aspirations. So I'm just dropping the words throwing it to the ether, also trusting that those seeds will do whatever they have to do in whatever way that has to happen. But again, whatever has to happen must happen organically at its own pace and its own time and moment, if that has to happen, and always in a way that is sustainable and nourishing, challenging in a healthy way, but also sustainable and nourishing, and respecting everybody's wills, capacities, availability, and so on. Okay, so I'm a contributing member of the Tadatmya Sangha as much as each of you are. So therefore, next, I'd like to invite any of you who would like to share some words as a birthday gift. You cannot come to a birthday party without a gift. So your words, your heart in the form of words are the gift for this 1-year-old baby. So you invited to share whatever you would like, a takeaway, a jewel, some nugget that you have discovered in your life due to your involvement with Tadatmya and the implications of that going forward. And of course, everyone is invited to share, but I like to begin by inviting Bhakti-rasa to share some words first. I mean, she should have even begun talking before me. She has been one of the crucial pillars for this Tadatmya Sangha, as I imagine all of you know, to remain for this Tadatmya experience to remain very cohesive and connected as it is. So I am, and we are all deeply grateful and indebted to Bhakti-rasaji's presence and loving dedication and selfless giving. So please, Bhakti-rasa, a few words of blessing, and
Thank
then
you.
we will move after to whomever would like to share.
Thank you, Marsh. I probably get called on first because I usually cry, so it'll open everybody up for more touching moments. But yes, as you were speaking, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the beauty of a Sangha, really, by what it means to come together, what it means to belong, and all of the implications that come from that. The lack of necessity to try to pretend, to live with a mask, the ability to live openly and freely, wildly even, in our relationship with God, with the divine. Um, to be able to trust that the environment is actually friendly. I've heard it so many times before, but to feel it, to experience it, because this environment is friendly and it expands from here outward and inward. I have a sense of self now that is due to my relationships with all of you. It is not a creating of a self, but it is a discovering of myself within my relationships with all of you. And I can't think of a greater treasure to discover a sense of self that can then be gifted back. And the beautiful relationship between individuation and community. How simply by each person becoming their full selves, that is the gift, that is the purpose of our being. So belonging with each of you in this beautiful Sangha, that Mirage, it springs, not wanting to put you in the center. I fear sometimes I don't acknowledge you enough, but it springs from your heart. And it just so happens what springs is what is beating in all of our hearts. And it's just so unbelievably beautiful. And I am grateful to be here. I can't even imagine there's anywhere else that exists, just right here with all of you, going forward, going deeper, refining forever. So thank you all very much. Thank you.
Jai. Bhakti Rasa Ji ki jai. Thank you, Bhakti Rasa, for
Thank
your
you.
words, your presence, for the gift of your life, and especially for your tears. They speak volumes always. So thank you. And of course, it's never enough to acknowledge that Tadatmya Sangha is not a one-person effort or a two-person effort, but it's a combined, as Bhakti Rasa Ji very nicely says, a combined offering and contribution of everyone's heart that is making it flourish in newer and newer layers. So, though I invited Bhakti Rasa to begin, of course, I hope each of you feel equally encouraged to share your voice, not forced to that, but encouraged. So, because again, your experiences is what truly defines this Sangha. No? What you go through is what defines, makes Tadatmya Sangha what it is. So, I'd like to invite whomever else would like to speak. And I don't think today we'll have breakup rooms. This is the breakdown and breakthrough rooms. No breakout, but there can be breakdown and breakthrough. So still we have an hour or so. So just for you to consider, I see many raising your hands, digital hands. So you can raise your digital hand as some of you are doing, and we will invite you to share a few minutes so we have space for whomever will like as well. So first raised hands come from Sherry. Please, Sherry, you can unmute yourself and present your birthday gift to all of us.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, and everyone else. Maharaj, I just want to start by saying that the magical play of light on your face is really quite beautiful and
Yes, thank you. I
seems
thought
a
I was
bit.
I thought it was a zebra. So thank you for
It's
taking
a
the
bit.
situation
It's a bit
to another level.
mystical and magical, and
Okay.
it's actually been bringing something to me in my heart, but. I guess I don't want to be too long-winded because we all want to say something. But I think, I've only been with all of you about half a year, although I had started listening and I had read the book before. But the past 6 or 7 months since being here have really changed me. I I had lost so much trust and faith uh, in so many things um, when I came here. And I realized that I'm not alone. And I also realized that I haven't been abandoned. Um, and that there are beautiful souls here. And even though we're spread out all over the earth, we are each other's well wishers and we are witnessing each other. Um, and to be able to feel such authentic sharing and Maharaj, the way you are able to bring Godai Vaishnavism, Godai Vaishnavism philosophy, um, but also contemplative Christianity that has spoken volumes to me and changed me because I feel like I don't have to choose between one or the other. And that's been a humongous leap for me, and a humongous leap to know that the things I was thinking internally wasn't just me being rebellious or like wrong. It's a deeper and a higher level, actually. Um, so I just want to thank you all for that and for Bhakti Rasa being such a wonderful part of all of this also. Knowing Bhakti Rasa that you're there and your leadership in our women's Sangha has just been um, really so beautiful. So um, I really want to reflect on that question today about where I was a year ago, because I think it's just going to speak volumes to me about how much has changed in my life. And, today is actually my birthday as well. So,
Happy birthday.
yeah, this is just a wonderful way to spend my birthday with all of you. And I just thank you all. And I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited for everything that's coming. So, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sherry. And we didn't know it was your birthday. So beautiful to have that coincidence or God incidence, as I like to say. And thank you for the gift of your presence and participation. We really value your being with us and so happy to continue the journey together. Thank you. Now comes Sumati ji. Sumati, not necessarily everyone knows about her, but she's a very secret piece of the Tadatmya puzzle. So maybe those who do not know her, just for you to know, she's very crucial. We have 7 pillars. Maybe she can be the 8th one. No? So I'm one of those invisible pillars that maybe not so many people may know about, but is sustaining in between the spaces and in the background. And she has been a very dear friend and sister and elder to me, accompanying me in so many crucial chapters also of my journey. And I've had the fortune of accompanying her and her own journey. So yeah, very special soul, very close to me. Sorry, Sumati, to embarrass you in that way, but I have to say that. I want to say that. So please bless us with a shower of your presence and words here today. And beautiful haircut, by the way. Really, really. I like it. You have to unmute yourself just in case, Sumati. As incredibly capable she is, she's not that tech savvy, just in case, but we love her.
You know me so well. I'm just, the past year for me, I'd say even 2 years, when I was blessed with really getting to live with Bhakti Rasa and Padmanabha Swami. And that was when and I would say for me, that was the beginning of Tadatmya. It was the first time in my life that I found I could relax and really discover myself and my own journey, and without any pressure, any time constraints, any rules and regulations. You have to look at this way, that way. It was like, you are a beloved child of God, and this is your journey, and you take responsibility for it, and we're here together to help each other. And the three of us would have very intimate sharings that I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. And it took a while. It wasn't like there was instant trust and a feeling of safety, but over a period of that year and a half, 2 years, it grew and grew. Until I actually began to believe it was possible that God truly loved me, because I was feeling God's love through Padmanabha Swami and Bhakti Rasa, and many of others of you as well. That in the beginning of the sisterhoods, I was more of a participant, but due to health reasons, and then later a total change of life, unexpected, but because of what I've been experiencing in the past 2 years, and realizing I have a heart that can open and grow and embrace Christianity, embrace Native American teachings, embrace, all the teachings of love from all traditions, and love is at the core. And I always felt that, and now it's like I feel free, and I don't have to feel, I think, like Sherry said, like there's some division. It's love is love coming down through however Krishna chooses to manifest it. So I don't want to go on. So many people have so much to say. I'm just filled with gratitude and love for Tadatmya Sangha, for Padmanabha Swami, Bhakti Rasa, and all of you. And thank you for accepting me. And I hope to be more of an active participant as my settling into this new situation becomes more settled, but still changing. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Sumati. Deeply appreciated always your words, your presence, your love. Okay, we invite Ravindra and Karuneshwari. Please.
I think we both will say something, but Ravindra wants me to go first. As some of you know, I've been going through a little bit of grieving recently, just with my mum being very ill. And that has brought me sort of awakened some more like deeper, more profound appreciation of things in my life, of people in my life, and along with that, a more profound appreciation of this Tadatmya Sangha. And I see this as like a gift of going through some difficulty.
Can you bring whatever device you have a little closer, because the microphone is not working that well?
Is that better? Is that any better?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I've just been reflecting on how much I've been nourished by Tadatmya over the different ways that you've mentioned, Maharaj, all the different activities that we've had. And like I've been seeing that these weekly Q&Es have been like an anchor for the whole week. It's something that if there's some difficulty in the week, I'm hanging on till Saturday because I know that I'm getting nourished there. The sisterhood on the Sunday is the same. And that's been, especially since the UK Sangha, I feel that the relationships have developed even more. We've become more, well, I feel we've become more closer, more trusting of each other, and more able to like just open up and share. And sometimes I've felt like a big crybaby. Just can't hold back the emotions. It's just a safe space for that. So there's this ongoing like nourishment. And I was thinking how these talks, like both the podcasts and the TAD talks, like spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, this is just like food, you know, all the time, like little drips of more food coming through for all those like, areas of my life. It's so important. There's like this like ongoing enrichment in all of those areas. And I felt I wanted to acknowledge also, which I often do, I wanted to acknowledge like Karnam Rita in me coming to this because, you know, he's, as many of you know him, like he's passed away now, but he was the first devotee that awakened me to like a new approach in Krishna consciousness. And I would say it was like the beginning of understanding that I'd come across someone who had understood the spirit of the law as opposed to the letter of the law. And that led me on to eventually coming across Maharaj and Tadatmya Sangha. And then I feel like this even further expanded Maharaj with your often stated, you know, uncommon common sense. This is what I really like, you know, particularly about this group and about, you know, Tadatmya and about yourself, is that it's a common sense approach to Krishna consciousness. And it really isn't that common. And, you know, it just makes sense of everything. But Bhakti Rasa prompted us to think of a little gem that we got from Tadatmya. And for me, it's a culture. It's a new culture to practice Krishna consciousness in. And I think many of us have come from, you know, backgrounds of practice in other societies where there's been other cultures that we just didn't feel. It's like there's maybe in the beginning coming to Krishna consciousness is a bit of an existential crisis. But then often for a lot of us, I think there's a second existential crisis where it's just not working anymore. And maybe the society we're in or the culture we're in is not working anymore. So for me, this is a culture where there's like healthy standards of interaction, communication, accountability, acceptance. And I feel like anybody new that comes in contact with this, that they'll get acculturated into like healthy norms from the very beginning and have like a big head start, which is, and you know, I was thinking about today how Prabhupada was very concerned about devotees leaving, you know, Krishna consciousness. It made him really sad. And I feel like this Tadatmya Sangha has gathered up a significant number of those like souls who had become lost and disenfranchised. So I think this is, maybe not everyone would see it like this. I think it's a huge service to Prabhupada, this Tadatmya Sangha. That just struck me today. And last thing, I think, I don't want to go on too long, but before moving to the UK, I was in a devotee community for 24 years. And then I came straight from that, from being with this devotee community, straight to this job in the Vedanta in the UK. And 2 weeks later, like first retreat I had to host was this, and some of you know this Advaita Vedanta group. And it just like turned my life upside down because I was thinking, wow, these are the most loving, personal, friendly group I've ever met in my life. They're so-called impersonalists. Their teacher is one of the most humble, kind, compassionate, genuine people I've ever met in my life. And it was this incredible mystery that I had to like live with for 2 years, thinking I was becoming like, you know, some deviant. But that actually opened my eyes to standards and like set a bar for what I was looking for in relationships. And then when I came across Maharaj and Tadatmya Sangha, that's what I'd been prepped for. So the whole thing made sense. So I'm constantly feeling in this group that it's a breath of fresh air. I was like, wow, a breath, like hearing something fresh constantly. Not the same thing that I've been hearing for 25 years, 30 years. And it's progressive, sensible, personal. It's like-minded association, and it's a place to belong and not fit in. And I will pass over to Rabindranath. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Karuneshwari. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ravindraji.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, and all the devotees. Yeah, I'm always inspired by Karuneshwari. She's a special soul, and I guess it's part of my great fortune to have met her on my journey. And but I'm thinking, you know, Krishna is very kind. As one of Karuneshwari's devotee friends over in Ireland would say, Krishna is very kind. You know, she would often say that, and I love to hear that because it's so true. Krishna is very kind, and he's reciprocating with us all the time. I increasingly understand. So it's all like Krishna's mercy, even though we lose sight through our own fear and separation. Krishna's always there, like just shining like that eternal love light in our direction. And I think that for me, you know, after, yeah, I think after being like 12 years in kind of brahmacharya ashram and then sort of coming out of it, and then, you know, the questions that come up are like, what am I doing back out here, you know, this crazy world? At least there was some kind of protection in there. But anyway, I've reasons, but like I'm a lifelong seeker of knowledge and lifelong seeker of the truth. So it never stops. So I think a blessing like Krishna has been kind in the sense that in my time in the ashram, I'd often be asking myself, like, because, you know, that the famous institution is quite, in a sense, militaristic in a style. And of course, the brahmacharya ashram is where you have a lot of that. And it suited me at the time because it was a medium that I walked into. You know, and already in my early 40s, I saw what I was walking into, but I wanted to find Krishna, and that's why I walked in to it. But I knew it was going to bring up some stuff. But over the years, you know, I tried and met, associated with some wonderful devotees. But I also saw, you know, of course, some things going on that I wasn't happy about, and that just builds up, as it builds up this kind of unhappiness. How can this exist in the name of God? You know, that question. But I think at one point I was reading from Satyanarayan Baba's book Jiva Tattva. So I was kind of like exploring that. And I'd already like, somehow I know that I'd heard you, Maharaj, somewhere, but I can't actually remember where. So following that book, Karuneshwari had found yourself and that earlier Tadatmya. And the book had come, you know, in Bhakti Inheritance, which follows that same trail, which is so immediately that was very interesting to me. And I thought, yeah, I know who Swami Padmanabha is. So after reading that book, then I thought, yeah, this is really, it's so, it's such a breath of fresh air that Gaudiya Vaishnavism can expand like in our Western field, we call it that. Because you know, it's functioning in India in its own way in other countries, but it needs to flourish. And so again, I think it's Krishna's kindness that he facilitates, that, okay, that's what you want, this is what's going to emerge. And of course, that has to include all the prior teachings from the Abrahamic religions and other factors. And so I was very encouraged, like the more I hear, the more I read, that's what's coming through. And I think it's very vital that it comes through, but it's coming through in such a lovely way. And then to have been on the retreat last year in UK was, you know, just sitting in that cold house, but assembling in that very warm room where we had our meetings and going through the pillars, the 7 pillars, each day, another pillar. I thought it's so encouraging. It's so, it's just evolving. And, you know, that's the nature of how things are. And I remember, like, I think it was the 7th day, actually, the 7th pillar. I remember, like, sitting there and, you know, also with Charlie, the dog, was there and had some kind of like interspecies rasa going with Charlie by that time. And he would sit there and he'd be listening so intently, you know. He would just be looking at Maharaj and just interested. And I thought, yeah, I'm the same, you know. It's like we're both the same, we're like brothers, you know. And Charlie. But then actually there was one thing that you said, Maharaj, that really encouraged me greatly, and that was at one moment you said, yeah, Krishna is seeing himself through us because, you know, we are parts of Krishna. So Krishna is seeing through us. Okay, I'd heard that, I'm aware of that idea before, but somehow the way that it came through, as a kind of, it'd been leading up through those 7 days, and it just, it inspired me. So it was one of those moments of kind of satori, like everything just, it's like a bliss feeling, that nectar feeling that just came. And then I thought, this is so great. You know, it's like I couldn't have asked for a sort of better devotee association than this. And yeah, it's been really nice. And also because we're both, you know, we're both ladies and we're men as well together. And that's a big thing, you know, after being in an ashram, obviously you're kind of a bit one-sided. And sometimes, you know, you think, maybe there's, you know, there's not always room to bring in the other side. But when you have like personified members of the other side presently active, that's a nice thing. And it's a challenge as well. It's, I mean, I know that part of me is challenged with that at times, but it is one of the biggest challenges for humans, I think. As Prabhupada said, the biggest challenge is for you all to work together. Well, obviously, that's a big factor about working together. But if you're a temple devotee and you're in an ashram just with, you know, you're kind of like, you're on an amazing track, but you're not really challenging yourself as much as you could, if challenging yourself is a factor. Anyway, I'm going on too much, I think, but I'm just encouraged and hope that the retreat this year, already looking forward, and hopefully to get out to India would be amazing, out to Navadvip. And I hope, and Maharaj, I hope that, you know, these first books, I think, are very important. It would be really nice to go more shastric at some point, I think, to take your spiritual, like, understanding. But I'm sure that would come in India as well, being in Navadvip. Obviously, that would emerge to really bring it all in together. So it's like a world awareness, you know, the Gaudiya Vaishnava level, about the Krishna conscious level. So, Hare Krishna. And happy birthday, Tadatmya.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravinderji. Thank you, Karuneshwari, both the UK. And since we are in the UK, let's continue in the UK, traveling now to Glastonbury, I think. We have Tapan Nandini and Gaur Charan Prabhu, to both invited to share a few words. Thank you so much for being there as well.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you. I feel very fortunate to be able to be part of Tadatmya Sangha through our very dear friend Manjuwali, who introduced us. So thank you. And again, my obeisance to all of you, and it's a wonderful sign. And thank you, Maharaj, for creating this unique, safe space to help us all take risks. And as you eloquently described it, it's like we're all holding hands together to dive deep into this ever-evolving mystery. And I feel this Sangha's very well, it's helped by Maharaj, your approach, and your great use of language and bringing out new things, just like even tonight, sister traditions, really like that. And but it's just really helping me focus on my intentions, or what I say and do and think. I'm a tiny bit more aware of things like spiritual bypassing, although I'm still very nervous to even look at that. But it's really helping to hear others share their messiness, and that's helping me too. So yeah, this Sangha is definitely helping make our minds our best friends, and it really feels like it's in a spirit of being genuine, vulnerable, and non-judgmental, which is, there's really feeling a safe space to search for our supreme best friend. So thank you, and yes, happy birthday to Tadatmya. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gaur Charan Prabhu.
So first time speaking to all of you. I very late to the party here. My lovely wife went on a retreat last year with you all, and I stayed behind on my own retreat at home. And when she came back, she was so enthused and said, "You must read this book." And since then, I've been on these weekend presentations and absolutely love it. We're both disciples of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and it's a very long how we came there. And I always like to talk about my Guru Maharaj, and I was fortunate to have a lot of association with him. But many of the devotees that I knew don't appreciate me talking about him, or, well, yeah, he's not Srila Prabhupada, so I found it very, well, to a point, distressing that people didn't have that appreciation. And those devotees that I know did have his association I can talk to. But I'm actually feeling that there are a lot of people in different lines in the Gaudiya mission now. And I can see so many wonderful devotees there. And I'd like to mention Muni Maharaj, who passed away 2 days ago in Vienna in Austria. His preaching was so similar to Srila Sridhar Maharaj's, even though it was nothing to do with him. It was quite an amazing devotee. And I love it when I hear people who are quoting Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who've not had much association or even any association with him. And, Maharaj, you regularly mention what Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, and I find myself thinking, yes, I was there when he said it. I know what you're talking about. It's very, very uplifting. So I'm booked in for the retreat this year in Somerset. Looking forward to that, although I don't want to wish the year away. And I've spoken to quite a few of you, I think, on our breakout rooms, and it's just a lovely, lovely association. I remember being in the ISKCON years ago, and I had 2 or 3 close friends, but there was nothing like this, and I would still be there if there was something like this, you know. And my closest friend of those days, I'm now reacquainted because he's married to Anuradha, and you know, that's another blessing from this association as well, that I've reconnected with my old best friend. We joined the temple on the same day, and we were inseparable. So lots of things to be thankful for. And as my Guru Maharaj used to say, everything that comes to you is for your own benefit, no matter whether you appreciate that or not. But I do feel that this is very much for all our benefits. So thank you for kickstarting this, Maharaj, and I'm looking forward to everybody's association in the future. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Gautama Prabhu. Tapan and Nandini, I was reminded, as you, of course, both of you are disciples of Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Dev Goswami Maharaj, and talking about Tadatmya Sangha, and I always like to recall and bring to the table, once Srila Siddhartha Maharaj was asked to explain what sadhu sangha, right? And he gave us an example, Napoleon. Interestingly, he spoke about something called the Napoleonian chair, right? You may recall this. No, he will say Napoleon was his army on one battlefield, and that night was very cold, and it was snowing, and they thought, we don't have a place to stay and sleep. We may not even survive the night. So how we can survive? And Napoleon put all of them standing in a circle, and then he said to them, okay, now you sit like a chair, no? Like adopt the chair position. And everyone do that. So you will be sitting on someone, and you will be the chair for someone else. So simultaneously you are supporting someone and receiving support. He said that's sadhu sangha. So that I consider that genius-like, very much to the point. So just came to my mind by hearing the words of you and connections between Tadatmya and Srila Siddhar Maharaj, which of course for me is one of the most, if not the most important, also guru figure in my life, especially in this chapter. And again, what we are trying to share in Tadatmya, in terms of not only giving support, but remaining humble enough to acknowledge we also receive support. So it's always mutual and reciprocal. So anyhow, thank you for triggering all that in me, and looking forward to meet you in our retreats. And thank you. Okay, let's continue with Narottam. Narottam Prabhu, please, you can unmute yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Radhe, Radhe. All glories to Guru and Guranga. All glories to assembled devotees. I'm usually an introvert, not really good at speaking, so I'll just make it short and sweet. But I just wanted to say how much I appreciate this Sangha. I've been a part of a few, and I really feel kinship with everyone here. Like, everyone's open, and it's one of the few sanghas I found that I can, ask questions and not feel fear of judgment. I recently, I was initiated by an ISKCON guru about 10 years ago, and unfortunately he had some troubles, which made it kind of not possible for me to be his disciple anymore. And one of the first people I reached out to was Maharaj, and he kindly talked to me for 2 hours, and his just the level-headed approach and just kindness just helped me move forward through that. It was definitely a dark period of my life. It felt like the rug had been pulled out from underneath me. Like, it almost felt worse than, a romantic breakup, because this was something that, I had put all of my faith into. But yeah, I really appreciate Maharaj's mood of unity, not only between like all the Gaudiya Sampradayas, but I think, as Maharaj said, how did you put it? Sister traditions. And I've been studying kind of Orthodox Christianity and some of the more mystical Catholic Christianity, like St. John of the Cross. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for Maharaj and all of you. And I feel very blessed to be able to have all of your association.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Nartan. I really appreciate your words. And I was thinking regarding your personal situation, which of course I can relate to that, as you can imagine, through my own personal situation. And I can imagine many of you can relate to that by your own personal situations. Many of us come from like wounded, like wounded people. And like Harry now will say we're invited to become wounded healers, right? To go through our wound in a way that it becomes redeemed and redemptive to others eventually. And we come with broken hearts, and probably many of us came with broken hearts to Tadatmya. And hopefully we are doing our work together to fix that. And heartbreak doesn't mean a bad word. I remember last year I had a podcast with Adam Bucco, 2023. And he has a book called Let Your Heartbreak Be Your Guide, right? So we were talking about that, how broken hearts, of course, they feel like death, and they are 1,000 deaths. But at the same time, those can be our guides, right? Can lead us to deep encounters with Guru itself, with reality, with new members, your family, new ways of conceiving reality. So anyhow, some thoughts that came listening to your words and empathizing with not only with your journey, but with the journey of so many of us in connection to our corresponding heartbreaks, and our heartbreaks are bringing here together. I remember Father Richard Rowe will say, sometimes communities form around suffering way more strongly and cohesively than they form around just joy. So yeah, it's an important point, and suffering has its place, and we are trying to acknowledge that properly here as well. So thank you for reminding of us about all that, Naratan. Thank you for being here. Thank you. We invite next Jivan Prabhu, traveling back to the UK.
Pranams to all of you. Actually, Maharaj, I'm in Ireland. It's not in the UK.
Sorry?
I'm actually in Ireland.
But I think I got it right finally. Ireland is not part of the UK?
Yeah.
It is?
No, it's not. No.
I'm still failing at my lesson miserably. I knew it was Ireland, to be honest. I'm not lying. But somehow I thought it's part of the UK. One part of Ireland is part of the UK and the other one is not, right?
It's a republic, the Republic of Ireland, and one part of it is the UK. That's a huge problem still. But
okay. We won't go there today. We are celebrating birthday today.
Yeah. So
okay,
my
Jivan Prabhu from Ireland.
Yeah. My pranams to all of you. I suppose, like Guru Charan, I jumped on the ship at the last moment, and it's just been so wonderful to meet so many beautiful people who wear their hearts on their sleeves. I suppose I did have a bit of an existential crisis this year and a few heartbroken moments. But through the grace of Sri Krishna and my teachers, who were Srila Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and now I came across Swami Padmanabha, and all of you. It's just so wonderful to meet so many beautiful people who have so much in common. And just by talking to you on our breakup rooms, we seem to be all going in the same direction. And I suppose for this year, externally my life didn't change too much, but internally my heart changed so much, and it's still changing. And I just feel that there's so much to do, or so much room to grow. When we were on the retreat, we talked about units of potentiality, and that's what we learned on the retreat, was our potential. And it was so wonderful to see what we could become, even if it was just for 10 days. You know, we can carry that memory forward. We were a family, brothers and sisters, and through Maharaj's podcast, we can understand that we're a huge family. Personally, I'd like to thank Maharaj for introducing me to so many different personalities and broadening my horizon in Krishna consciousness, and introducing me to Richard Raw, who's I've read about 9 of his books now. He's just so wonderful. I can get a real understanding of who Jesus was and what Christianity is about by understanding Richard Raw, his writings. I'd like to thank Bhakti Ras for keeping it all together, and keeping us all together. Without you, you know, just as someone said earlier, just looking forward to these weekly podcasts. Although it's difficult sometimes, we're all still struggling on this path, and but we're all struggling for a great reason. And as Maharaj was outlining 2025 there, it sounds wonderful, you know. And hopefully I'm going to be on maybe 2 of those retreats. There is a long way to go, and it's difficult to share sometimes, share our hearts. But I'm looking forward to meeting. I've met quite a few of you. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot more of you as well, and becoming a personal family. It is a bit difficult on the podcast, and I was talking to Sherry last week, and we were discussing that, how there is a difference in personal meeting and meeting online. And in our men's group, we were talking about how we can do that. How can we make it more personal? We have some ideas which we'll be sharing with you, back to us soon. But so many of you want to speak now, so I just love you all, and I thank you for being here for all of us. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all again very soon. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jivan Prabhu. We all love you equally. So thank you for your loving presence. Really appreciate your heart contribution on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. Looking forward to meeting you soon in 3D again also. Okay, let's shift back from Ireland to California, where we have Rasang, the one and only.
California, at least. Anyway, Maharaj, I'm happy, so happy to be here. I really feel there's an importance in earmarking our progress. So measuring progress is very important for me. And I was looking back at last year, and I was a mess. But I was such a mess that I didn't even know that I was such a mess, because I was so good at spiritual bypassing.
God bless this mess. God bless this mess.
I was such a good spiritual bypasser. I thought I had it together. But because of your emphasis and letting it be okay to peek in those directions and excavate the mind, I just am feeling like a different person. And that's not that I haven't known about this stuff. It's been my work for 35 years. But to give myself permission and see the importance of me doing that has become your gift to me, and Bhakti Ras, of course. And I love that there's a woman behind this. There's a wind beneath your wings. That's a woman. Hallelujah. So happy about that. Yes. So I just like, I remember thinking, what is this life here? This is not the spiritual world. This is cement and cars and exhaust fumes, and this is like horrible. I could not see the spiritual world in my reality, but now I can. And I can because I see Krishna behind everything. I see his loving hand in my life on a daily basis. I see him pulling me out of the ocean like that old picture, the rescue from the ocean, and bringing me to this group, this Sangha, and to these teachings as being Krishna directly saving my butt, saving me, and loving me to this, just loving me so much that he's brought me together. And then the last thing I'll say is, every time I'm with you or my group, my little girl Sangha, more questions come up. There's always more questions to be answered. And I think that's a good thing. I feel like blessed from that. Like I'm always excited about learning something new and peeling it away another layer of the puzzle and being able to get another glimpse or getting a little bit closer. So the last thing I'll say is may or may not be true. It's something to do some research on, but without the oneness, the differences can't exist. The uniqueness, the individual beauty and uniqueness of everything can't really exist. And what I mean by that is like knowing what I know about human development, let's say, if a child is given unconditional love, they can grow beautifully and become all that they can be. Without that, it's really hard. It doesn't happen that way. It's like roadblocks are there and obstacles, so that this Sangha is earmarked by this unconditional respect and love that is allowing us all to become all that we can be in this life. And so what else is there? What else? There's nothing more important. In my opinion, nothing could I value more importantly than that gift. So thank you, Maharaj, for being willing to carry this message. Thank you. Haribo, Haribo.
Haribo. Thank you, Marasangi, for your words and everything you say. Yeah, hits the aim. So thank you. Deeply humbled and moved and inspired by your participation as well. Thank you. Travel back from California to the UK, Glastonbury again. We have now the chance of hearing some words from also one of our many elder wise Vaishnavis, Manjali. Please, thanks so much for being here.
Hare Krishna and happy birthday, Tadatmya Sangha. It's just such an honor to be part of this group. Thanks to Namaras, I met Maharaj online, I think in June, so I'm not even walking yet. I'm just new to this group, but it has been so refreshing. And I read Radical Personalism, which I have been waiting for that book forever. And that book just was such a yes in my own devotional life. I've been around, as everyone knows, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Guru Maharaj. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is my Shiksha Guru. So I have that. And I have a deep attachment to Father Richard Rohr for many, many years. So all this just seemed to be marry for me when I met Maharaj, and I just got, oh yes, this is Krishna's gift. And this is my Guru's gift, is that I can be part of a Sangha of like-minded souls who are feeling the wonder and feeling the joy of Krishna consciousness and exploring and deepening our relationship with the mystery, and doing it as a group of souls in a unique and wonderful ways, you know. And I just really want to shout out to Bhakti Rasa for holding the fort as well, and, you know, holding us together, because, you know, to keep us together, it's, as Maharaj said, maintenance is Vishnu's category, but holding a group together and producing a newsletter and, you know, kind of gatekeeping is such a challenge. And Bhakti Rasa has such a gift in doing it. So I really want to honor you today and thank you for kind of facilitating, as you do, the group. And I just also want to thank Maharaj for your kindness, your vision, and for your love for all of us, you know, and for holding the space where we can actually be unique and shine our light in the world as souls questing the divine in community. In the Christian tradition, it's called fellowship. And fellowship is us together as fellows, coming together with a common goal. And that common goal is love of God. And it's not just owning love of God, but sharing love of God. And we do that as individually, but to do it as a group of souls is such a gift in my life. And so I come today and I thank you with deep gratitude and respect, really, that we're all sharing this moment in time together. And this moment is precious, and we don't own it. It is a gift. And so we allow it to bless us, and we allow it to go out into the world as well, because there's no ownership. There's only love and grace. And we can all share that love and grace together and grow together and journey together as pilgrims and embody the philosophy as practitioners and uplift ourselves and each other in the process. So it's just a deep honor and gratitude to be part of this Sangha. I've been many years just doing my quiet practice in the background. And Maharaj has kind of called me out and actually asked me to stand up and do podcasts and all these things that are totally out of my comfort zone, you know. But I step up to the plate because Maharaj has asked me, and because the lineage of Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada told me not to be a miser personally. So I have to follow this, but it is with all your love and support and the sense of community. I feel like we're all actually doing this together, and we're all helping each other to actually find the love we all carry, to honor our divinity, honor our humanity, and be of service to Sri Radha and Krishna and all the guides and guardians who are actually brought us to this moment in time. So deep gratitude to you, Maharaj, and to Bhakti Rasa, and to each one of you for just your love and presence and encouragement on this path. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much, Manjualaji. Your words are always deep blessing to each one of us. So we are so grateful for the gift of your presence as well. Gift is always mutual. So thank you. We invite next, close to Glastonbury, we make a short trip to nearby London, and we have our dear Jamunaji there. Hopefully I'm not missing the country. And we are in England, right? You're in London. So
Hare Krishna.
welcome.
Maharaj. Thank you. So this last year has been it's been a year I never thought would happen in my whole spiritual life, where the foundation of my meditation would change, being guru. And it has been, oh, I'm going to cry. It's been heartbreaking. It's been depressing. It's been liberating. It's been freeing, and liberating and freeing, same thing, in so many ways. But it was a path that I really, really needed to take for my own integrity. And I couldn't have done that if it wasn't for all of you. If it wasn't for all of you here, if it wasn't for all of the support I get from the sisterhood, if it wasn't for the support from Maharaj, and if Bhakti Ras hadn't held this group together, I wouldn't be able to reach out so much. Actually, I reach out a bit. I'm quite an independent person. I'm quite a introvert. So I like to kind of get on with things myself. But I couldn't have done anything that I've done. I couldn't explore my spiritual life, my individual spiritual path, if I didn't know I could reach out to sane people, to people who practice spiritual life in a really grounded, normal, non-sectarian way that actually move the heart, work with Krishna's heart, with the heart of the sadhus. And instead of telling me what to do, give options, give advice without, well, this is A, B, and C, this is what you got to do, and then you'll be okay. But actually allowing me to take responsibility for my spiritual life. And I'm in a liminal space, little shifts here and there, but it's pretty liminal. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I trust that Krishna has his plan and that Krishna is luring me in different ways. And I'm okay with being open to that. And for a controlling person, that's quite a thing. Just saying, I'm quite controlling. So to let go and let God is, it's a little out there. And I just want to thank this group, Tadatmya Sangha, for opening such a space where some little jiva like me can hop on board and actually be nourished and be brave enough to carve my own path in spiritual life while honoring the saints and sadhus that are there before me. So thank you so much. Thank you for being brave enough, Maharaj, to follow your heart, because I can also try and follow my heart because of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jamuna. You're such a brave heroine for many of us. So we are really moved and humbled and inspired by your trajectory when the shape is taken. As liminal as that is heroic at the same time. So heroism and liminality, you cannot separate these two. I'm so happy and proud, I will say, to witness the bold steps you are taking and the shelter, the trust, and the grace that is showering. Not only on you, I don't want to over-center on you, but this is a pattern how we navigate life through storm and liminality. And I'm glad that also you find in Tadatmya Sangha some, what do you say, like something normal. The other day I was we were doing a podcast with a devotee, and this idea came like, we should normalize normalcy, right? It's time to normalize normalcy. So we are trying. It's not so easy. We are complexifying complexity too much. So now we have to normalize normalcy. There we go. We continue on the journey. So happy to have you on the journey, Yolanda, as well. Thank you.
I just one thing on that normalcy. I remember Anuradha and we would say, when are we going to stop being so amazed by the fact that this is normal? Oh my gosh, when are we going to not be freaked out that it's just like, wasn't that so normal? So.
Yeah. And as Karuneshwar was saying, uncommon common sense. No, basically the same idea. No, but it's beautiful to be amazed at that. No problem. Oh, thank you. Okay, going back to Ireland now, not UK, Ireland.
From
So there we
India,
have.
Maharaj.
Well, okay, let's go to Udupi. Let's go to Udupi. Swetadev Radhika, Udupi born Indian Vaishnavi, but who is now in Ireland with Amanda
Yeah.
Bikram. So glad to
And
have you both there. Yes, please.
Can you hear me okay? Because the internet doesn't seem to
Yeah.
go great fast.
Yeah, a little bit gets like sadly interrupted, but we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so last year, around this time, it's exactly when I found Tadatmya also, like just when you were starting it. But just before that, I found out that sadhu sangha doesn't mean you just associate with anybody who chants Hare Krishna, you know, it's more than that. And when I found that, I disconnected from the community that I was associating with, because it was clear that wasn't the sadhu sangha, you know. And then I just prayed that I prayed to Krishna to give me real sadhu sangha. And I said, I was almost like stubborn, saying, I won't go anywhere. I won't associate with anybody until you give me like real sadhu sangha. And he just answered it like so quickly. I couldn't believe, you know, when I found this sangha, it was like, it was magic. Like, I mean, it is still magic. It's so magical, everything. And I mean, it's so surprising to me that I still have have the same body, because I feel like I've died so many times, and like every part of me that existed before, it doesn't really exist anymore. So it's so surprising that I still look like how I looked before. And yeah, I mean, so much to say, like, it's such a gift, such a blessing to be part of this Sangha. Like, literally every day I feel so much gratitude. And, you know, I mean, it's not been easy. Like Jimuna was saying, you know, like she's in the liminal space, and I can totally relate. Like other day I was saying to Bhakti Rasa that I think that was the last day of 2024. I said, I think the whole year I've been in liminal space, you know, and continue to be, but it's so exciting. Like, you know, there are days which is it feels a bit scary, but at the same time, it's so exciting. And like our sisterhood sanghas every week, like, it's so good. Like, I love it so much. I'm almost like the very last one, and always like extending it a bit more than it should. And also the Saturday satsang. And yeah, I mean, there's so much to say. And also the name Tadatmya, just like our last sisterhood sangha was like saying, this name Tadatmya is just so sweet, like a name that's come down from Goloka Vrindavan, you know, like just I love it so much. And also because, you know, I think there's a consciousness shift going on, like moving towards like oneness, finding the commonalities between like sister traditions, like you were saying, like between like all humans really, and coming together as like sisters and brothers. And this Sangha is very much like, you know, on the same page. And to be part of this Sangha is like so special. Like, yeah, so happy and like really so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much. Very well. Amanda is not here, but he also feels the same.
Thank you. Thank you, Swetadev Radhika. And we believe each of your words, because your big smile confirms every syllable of it. So that's self-effulgent. You have your self-effulgent smile and presence. So thank you so much. And for making the important point of liminality being exciting, right? Because many of us, again, not only you, not only Jamona, not only me, may have feel, okay, my whole year, a big part of my life is in that space, and that doesn't need to be a problem. Actually, liminal space is the realm of possibilities, right? It's the realm of potential. It's the realm of unknown possibilities, unknown potential, and the unknown part may be scary, but we don't have to forget the other part, which is possibility, potential, change, transformation, which is basically what makes life exciting and worth pursuing, which gives meaning and purpose to each of our days. So as intimidating and scary as it may feel, we're all here to strengthen each other and to support each other into holding hands together and entering together liminal space, and even learning to remain there enough to be initiated by life. So thank you for that remark. And liminal space and excitement going hand by hand, so each of us can find validation in our own uncertainty and chapters in life when things seem unknown, right? And it's, again, we have to universalize these experiences. It's not just me going through that, but it's something we all go through that. So we are all in this together. Thank you. Okay, last but not least, we have Jugal Kishore Prabhu, going back to the US in Virginia. So, dear brother, please, it's all yours. Take the mic.
Somehow I end up closer to where I began in the journey in North Carolina over a decade ago. Though I wasn't expecting to find this place. So nice to see everybody here. And yeah, Tadatmya entered my life. I was looking through my calendar, like, when did this happen actually? And I think it was June. Somehow I first tuned into your lectures on evolution and divine love. And that seems very special to me because that's the next publication. So somehow I was already being drawn into a future that I didn't even know of yet. And yeah, I want to have to thank you for just allowing, welcoming me and allowing me to be myself. It's scary at times because it's like, I don't even welcome all aspects of myself. So it's such a huge liminal space, as we were saying. And Bhakti Rasa, I wouldn't be here without you. I mean, you stretched your arm out and pulled me up. So thank you. Similar to what some others said, Maharaj, you've given me Sri Guru back into my life, where I thought that principle was gone for me. And you've reaffirmed that it appears in so many forms. Maybe you don't even know you're looking at your guru, and there she is, there he is, there it is. So it's like a truth I somehow knew, but no one was saying it, and you shouted it from the mountaintop with Radical Personalism. I mean, you're very courageous for doing that. I can only try to follow in the footsteps. And I don't want to be too long-winded, so I just have to get on board the train. You guys have, are so many cars ahead, and just have to keep up pace and allow myself to fall, and there's no rush. And that's, wow, that's encouraging, that Krishna is time and the eternal now, and there's no rush. You're already there, and striving to become more here. Thank you so much, Swami Maharaj. Thank you,
Jugal Kishore, and for your, testimony full of integrity and honesty, and we deeply value your journey. We deeply value the chance of witnessing your journey, and again, we deeply value the chance of witnessing each other's journey. Some of you have shared some words today, some others have not, but I know most of you where you are, where your heart is. We are taking each one's presence, whether with words, without words, today as an offering, as a birthday gift. And anyhow, as we reflect on this 1 year journey of Tadatmya, I cannot but feel deeply grateful and indebted, and just marveling at the gift that keep pouring, but Krishna's grace so excessively. I mean, it's never too much. In one sense, it's all too much, but we are so much in need of grace, no? So that's, we should assume that that's proportionate to our need, not that the shower of graces that comes to knocks on our door means probably you need all that, so better you take that take that shelter and honor that properly. So, but yeah, I must say I feel very moved and grateful for what we have cultivated together so far. And very exciting, again, from the liminal space about what other possibilities and potential unfold in this new second year of Tadatmya 2025. And again, this is not only merely about what we have done or will do, but what we have become, no? What we are, what we have become, what we will continue to become individually, collectively. For each of you is a living testament of Tadatmya, what Tadatmya stands for. Each of you is like an avatar of what Tadatmya stands for, like safe space for radical personalism, deep belonging, normalizing normalcy, living in the here and now with deep trust, and Tadatmya, heartfelt oneness, right? So yeah, looking ahead, just hopefully our focus remains not only, again, on sustaining it, but understanding that sustaining it means enriching the quality of our relationships, our endeavors. May each endeavor is as significant and deep, even if it's externally seems like very small. Let's pour our heart into that. And again, as we celebrate this first steps of the Tadatmya baby, let us also recommit ourselves today on a daily basis to walk in this path together, as we are doing, and carrying the lessons and treasures that we have received, and while remaining open, students forever, right? Remaining open to whatever shape also Tadatmya and the journey needs to take, the Tadatmya journey needs to take. So for this to happen on a yet deeper level, I would like to conclude by taking a final moment, all of us together, of silence for a moment. Krishna says in the Gita, of all secret things, I'm silenced. So many secrets reveal in the inner stillness of the heart. So let's stand for a moment in silence together, offer our gratitude to the sweet absolute and to one another for the gift of the Tadatmya, and let your heart speak in its own way. And let's know that this gratitude binds each other in love and friendship. So let's offer that moment of loving silence to each other, to ourselves, to the sweet absolute in the center of the Tadatmya. Thank you. Thank you to each one of you for being part of this sacred experiment. And together we make Tadatmya what it is and what will become. It's an ever-evolving process of becoming. So may we celebrate many more birthdays, many more milestones, grounded in deep gratitude, inspired by divine grace and friendship, brotherhood, sisterhood, and this mystical empathy and oneness of heart that Tadatmya is and will continue to be. So happy birthday to all of you. Thanks for being part and making Tadatmya what it is. I'm very blessed to have each one of you in my life in this journey. And let's continue moving forward together in the next chapter of this exciting pilgrimage. Tadatmya ki jai, Tadatmya Sangha ki jai. Each one of you who made Tadatmya Sangha all that it is and will continue to be ki jai. Jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, all Bhakta Vrindas ki jai.